What's up, guys? Welcome to the Fomo Factory. I would like to go over some charts to look like, hey, is Bitcoin maybe a little bit more bullish than we all think? The Binance news, is that actually bearish or bullish? How are altcoins looking like? What is my short-term outlook on the market and what is my long-term outlook on the market? So if you like the content, please like the content, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. I'm here every day, not going away. We've been here the whole bear market and we are going to be here the whole bull market as well. So let's start with the first chart here. This is how Bitcoin has performed after it peaked in the last cycle, which is quite interesting. So we've been going over this chart a couple of months ago, and I said like, hey, the bottom for Bitcoin is in 100%. And the further we get into the halving, the more I'm convinced about that, right? So if we take a look, for example, at the red line and the orange line, that's the previous cycle. So the orange line was Bitcoin in 2018, the red line was Bitcoin in 2015. Now the green line is where we are right now in 2023. Well, basically 2022, right, where it bottomed. So if you look time-wise, it's interesting. What would mean that if the bottom is not in yet, what would it mean? That would mean that this is the longest bear market by far. Like if we were going to be in a slightly longer bear market than we had in 2015, hey, that's okay. But if the bottom is still not in right now, then we still should bottom out right here, at least more than 750 days in, while the longest bear market lasted for 406 days. So that's not even close to average. Therefore, I think time-wise, we should be there. Hey, does that necessarily mean that we cannot go any lower? No, it doesn't mean that we can't go any lower, but it does mean for me to say like, hey, if we look at the averages, then the bottom should be in. Now, price-wise, we did very well. And that's what I like about Bitcoin and also about the people in crypto. They believe in crypto a lot more. Because as you can see, price-wise, yeah, 2015, 2018, Bitcoin went down, give or take the same amount, right? 16%. So if one, that's 100, that was the peak. We went down, well, kind of 6 times as low. Well, in this case, we were really higher than that. So given all the FUD that was going on in the market because of all the bankruptcies and COVID and these two wars that we have going on right now and a potential recession coming up. And man, I can't even name all the bad shit that was going on. But given all of that, it was Bitcoin's best bear market by far, by quite far. And that tells me like, hey, the people that are now in this cycle, they know that Bitcoin comes back, right? And yeah, if you look at the previous cycles, then that's slightly different. Let's take it over here, for example. So in this bear market right here, Bitcoin went from $32 all the way down to 2. Right, it was wrecked, But here as well, we went down from 1100 all the way to 160, completely wrecked. Here we went down from, well, 20K all the way to 3100. Now we just went down from 69K to 15K. But it's mostly, like I said, I think that when people were here, yeah, it was so new. If you were here in this downfall, then you were probably actually believing like, hey, this is not coming back. Look how wrecked we got, right? I mean, for your comparison, Bitcoin went down with 86%. If we would have gone down 86% this cycle, Bitcoin would have gone down to $9,000-$10,000, right? So that's a way bigger difference, of course. People here thought like, yeah, it's that. Here, they probably kind of thought the same, but now in this bear market, people really start to understand the cycles and believe in the technology and what it's meant for. And now you'll see all the businesses and institutions stepping in and all the smart, rich people getting involved in crypto. It gives people a lot more confidence to think like, hey, okay, we have these bear markets, but it's not going anywhere. So people are not drastically selling as much as they did before. Now, the logarithmic regression band is quite interesting because if you see how Bitcoin performs over its complete existence, right? Every bull market, we touch or come close to at least the upper band. That's the red line. We did it here in 2011, in 2013, in 2017, in 2021. We went to the red band, and in every bear market, we spend a lot of time in the lower bands into the green ones. And although we are now quite bullish, Bitcoin is looking good, like $36,000 or so. We're still in the lower band right here. And that's actually the bearish territory, and we're not even here, we are here, right? So the upper green band, which is still a bearish territory, is now sitting at, well, our previous high, basically $68,000. Yeah, that's quite low for this band, but it's in price. Yeah, it's higher than what we have ever been almost, right? It's our all-time high. Yeah, if you look how it performs, it always gets out of this green band and goes at least towards the red bands, if not in, right? And that's also what I expect for the next cycle. Now, that's quite interesting because if you believe in the 4-year cycle, then you probably have the expectation that Bitcoin is going to top out around December 2025. So where are these levels sitting by then? Well, end of 2025, the lower band, so the worst case scenario is between $70,000 and $100,000. The so far always happened kind of scenario where we went like said in every bull market, we except this one, by the way, we came close but we didn't touch it, but all the others we at least touch it as well. That scenario at the end of 2025 is sitting between $300,000 and $450,000. Now, I know a lot of people, they feel like, man, it's never going that high. It's going to go to 100K and then it's going to top out. But, you know, this, how this moves also has diminishing returns included in it, right? It's here, it went way more parabolic than that it does over here. So could Bitcoin actually see prices of around $300,000 in a year or two from now? Well, yeah, I'm not saying that it can't. It actually would be very exceptional if it doesn't happen, right? But maybe we pull off something like this right here, right? Where we come close to it but don't touch it. Well, even if that's the case, then you could say like, okay, then Bitcoin 250, give or take, at $250,000. That would be my worst case scenario. And it's not that weird if you consider like, hey, now actually institutions are going to step in, right? The big money is going to flow into crypto. And yeah, if you compare it to how gold was moving, especially after it got an ETF and all of that, like, yeah, you have to understand that these whole cycles that we have seen so far was still really early. If you were in the first 13 years of gold trading, it was going like this as well. You'd be like, whoa, it's never going there. But eventually, yeah, everybody has it, right? And everybody knows about it. And it's like really common. And it's like not so speculative anymore. And I think that's definitely a possibility. Now, I also think that the coming bull markets and the bear markets, they will be a lot less volatile as there's more liquidity in the market then. So maybe by the end of 2025, hey, we will hit like 300K, but then in that bear market, it just comes down to 200K. And in the next bull market, it just goes to 500K or something like that. It's going to move less spectacular. So, I think that this next bull market is going to be one of the greatest because of all the institutions stepping in and because the technology in crypto is actually improving by a lot. So this is actually one of the last chances I think we will get to really have these explosive moves, right? Crypto is still a place where you can make 20, 30, 40, 50 X's. Yeah, but it won't stay like that forever. Of course, there will always be new altcoins and all of that. Um, but overall, the money that will be moving by less percentages, I think. So, but my long term outlook on crypto is like always have been like really, really, really bullish. And I think in a year or two from now, we're gonna laugh with each other about this. What's also quite interesting if we take a look at Bitcoin over the longer term, and by the way, for the people that feel like, yeah, I don't care about Bitcoin, hey, you know that if Bitcoin is doing like really fantastic, the good altcoins will do fantastic as well, right? If you look at the fair value, that's the orange line. So we have the upper band, we have the mid band, which is the fair value, and the lower band. In every bear market, we get below it, right? In this bear market, we went below it, we went below it, we went below it, and now we went below it. We're still quite below it. But in every bull market, we go above it as well. Here, 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 and here. No good reason for me to believe that we won't do it in the next one. Now, also, if we take it to like the end of 2025, the upper band is sitting at around $190,000, give or take. Again, every bull market we are above that level. Okay, so also according to this chart, it would be exceptional if we don't hit 200k. If we especially considering, right, I'm not much of a news person, but if we do consider like, hey, there will be an ETF and there will be a lot of institutions stepping in, yeah, that of course back it all up, right? Why this could happen. So again, if we for some reason, even including that news, don't break above this line by then, yeah, that will be the first time ever, right? And I know it's based on 4 pieces of history, so it's not much, but hey, 4 out of the 4. Yeah, it's not weird to think that number 5 is going to do that as well. So that could give Bitcoin a minimum price target of at least like, $200,000, give or take. And you have to understand that if we take a look at Bitcoin right now, which is $35,000, and let's say we go to 200k, that's a 5.5x from here, right? And you might feel like, yeah, 5.5x, it's like 200k sounds like a lot, but it's just a 5.5x. But you also have to understand that if we make these moves, especially like we did over here, this was where Bitcoin was in a bull market, but the dominance came down, right? So the dominance came down, which means that altcoins were really outperforming Bitcoin. So that could easily mean that by that time, altcoins can do a 20x from the current prices, give or take. Now, therefore, if we do take a look at some altcoins right now, right? Like, let's take a look at the total 3 first on the weekly. The total 3, although the altcoin market has been moving a bit lately, it's not that spectacular yet, right? Especially if you already went into a bull market last time, you probably know like, hey, this is nice, but this is not like a bull market yet or anything. The total 3 just had a move of around 30% up, right? Well, last year in June, we saw a move of 40%, right? We saw here in June 2022, we saw a move of 40%. Even here, we saw a move of 30%. So these pumps that we are basically just had or, are now in, happened many times over the last 1.5 years or so. Overall, we are still in an accumulation area, basically, where we have the lower side and the upside of it. And now we are just pushing the upside of it. Overall, this is quite of an accumulation area. And I've said for a long time, like, hey guys, I'm not putting in my money into altcoins right now, right? For multiple reasons. One, I'm in Launchpad, so I don't need to. I'm making already money with the altcoin market, but also because the Bitcoin dominance was going up, right? So you can put it whatever you want, but Bitcoin is outperforming the collective altcoin market. So it was better to put it in Bitcoin, and later you can buy altcoins with that Bitcoin. So you basically ride 2 bull markets, but also the thing, if you, let's say, right, we have the halving in April So let's put a line on April, give or take, right? This the halving. Usually after the halving, we go up. Let's assume that this time is going to play out like that again, right? You can say, like, yeah, but hey, what does it matter if I buy altcoins here or if I buy altcoins here? They all have the same price. Well, yeah, but again, like Bitcoin already 2x'd from this point until where we are right now, right? So Bitcoin already made its move quite hard, more than 2x, but also it's about risk, right? You don't want to buy altcoins like too soon because in a bear market, so this right here is really the bear market, but also in a sideways market, that's usually where a lot of altcoins die. They run out of funds. They don't like. There are many reasons why they could die, and if you could have bought there at the same price for some altcoins, but this was so much further away from the bull market than this. If you were just waiting with these specific altcoins, you can now buy at the same price. Literally, you can see it here. It's the same price as over here, right? The collective altcoin market. I'm not saying necessarily some individuals are, doing better, some are doing worse, but overall, collectively, they're sitting at the exact same levels. However, the difference is that we're now just a couple of months away from the halving, and here we were, well, almost 2 years away from the halving. So here altcoins had a lot of time to die and a lot did, right? A lot did, and a lot could still. But that's time-wise taking a huge risk as well, right? Now with the current market conditions, hey, don't get me wrong, a lot of altcoins will still die. But now at this time, I feel a lot more comfortable with DCAing a little bit already, right? Because altcoins are now finally gaining some steam again. Bitcoin was outperforming altcoins the entire year, and altcoins now finally playing that catch up. And although we are now sitting at resistance, whatever. Look, I mean, if you look at the chart like this, you could see like, hey, overall we are at resistance, but this is an accumulation phase, right? Same as we had in the last cycle. We had the top side of it, we had the lower side of it, but overall this whole area was accumulation. And that it actually did a 4x in the meantime, that's nice, right? But if you zoom out, it was all accumulation, right? And eventually we went up like crazy. So on this, I feel the same, like, hey, although we are now higher than where we were over there, yeah, if you did not buy over there and you now feel FOMO, go ahead, man, buy over here. Did you miss out on a 2x or something? Maybe, I don't know, right? If you were completely on the sideline, it's stupid, by the way, you should never do that. But if you were completely on the sideline, I feel like, man, then you maybe missed out on the 2x. What does it matter if we do another 20x from here, right? Like, it's not that spectacular. You avoided a lot of risk and losing money in the meantime, and that means something as well. I mean, how are you going to make money if you don't know how to not lose money in a bear market in the first place? Now, what's funny, this is the altcoin season index, and basically we do not need an altcoin season index. You can just take a look at the Bitcoin dominance, and if it's going up, it's Bitcoin season. If it's going down, it's altcoin season. But what's quite funny right here is that we were in a big Bitcoin season, especially from May this year, right? And we were there for a long time. Well, basically from April this year until July this year. And now we are really starting to climb out of it again. But we are not really close to an alt season yet. If we are here, it's an alt season, and it means that if we are here, altcoins are sitting at very low levels compared to Bitcoin, and then when we go down, you can make a lot of money on that. The last time we really did that was in September 2022, and that's what you can see on the chart as well. From June till September, right? There was this over here. This people were calling an alt season over here, right? The Bitcoin dominance was sitting at 48%, give or take, and we went all the way down to, well, 38%. So the Bitcoin dominance came down by 10%. That was where altcoins were really outperforming. What's funny though, if you look at this chart, like it's not much. Like if you had this move right here in 2000. That was a real big alt season, right? We had a real big alt season over here as well, and over here as well. This was not that spectacular still. But what is interesting right now is that we were ranging here for 2 years, right? So it wasn't really Bitcoin season. It wasn't really altcoin season. It was just like, hey, altcoins, blah, catch up, right? And when we were back down right here, it made absolutely zero sense to buy altcoins at all because we did not go lower than this. Although a lot of people from the end of 2021 or 2022 said like, yeah, buy altcoins. Yeah, well, not really, right? And now we broke above it. So what's interesting is that we are now way higher. So I do feel like, hey, the next altcoin season that we get is at least going to be way bigger because we now have a lot more room to go down. We don't now go down from 48 to 38%, but at least from 52 to that level, right? If we do go down that level. So the next alt season is going to be a bit bigger as well. So, but yeah, over the last 90 days, you finally see that a lot of altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin, right? This is, I think, the top 100. I'm not completely sure. And this is Bitcoin right here, right? And yeah, these altcoins were all outperforming Bitcoin. So it's slightly half of the altcoins right there. And a lot of altcoins right here, they underperformed compared to Bitcoin, like Stellar, Quant, Shiba Inu, HDERA, well, even BNB, XRP, Polkadot, they all got wrecked against Bitcoin. So it's like, yeah, a lot of people, they feel like Bitcoin is boring. While it is actually not that bad, but it sounds boring. Like people, they always say like, yeah, Bitcoin won't give you that 100x. Well, yeah, no, probably not this time. Hey, but we already did a 145% gain on Bitcoin, right? And altcoins now finally kind of catching up on that. So yeah, it's more about timing, right? You don't want to time the bottom or time the top or whatever, but it is important to know when to be in Bitcoin, when to be in altcoins, when not to be in the market at all, or when to be in stables. And the Bitcoin dominance is just a very good chart that shows you like, hey, it's in an uptrend. So overall, it is better to be in Bitcoin because this means that, you know, Bitcoin is outperforming altcoins. And once the trend breaks and we really go down, I would say like, okay, get rid of that Bitcoin and get into alts mostly, right? Because then we're going into an alt season and then it makes absolutely zero sense to be in Bitcoin because, yeah, that's really going to underperform then. So my overall thoughts are that now when it comes to, hey, is it better to be in Bitcoin or in altcoins? Yeah, it depends a little bit on your risk reward ratio, I guess. I mean, when the market turns bearish, which could still happen, right? It's not like, hey, we're in a full-blown bull market, it's green candle after green candle. We always have big corrections, of course. If the market turns a little bearish, then it's better to not be in altcoins because altcoins, of course, take a bigger hit because they have less liquidity. But at a certain point, you also want to be prepared for when the bull market really happens. Yeah, you want to be in good odds to get the most out of that, right? Now, I'm still cautious because after, look, these blue lines are the halving, right? And after the halving, it's so far always confirmed bull markets, right? And this time could be different, I know, but so far every time after the halving we go up. Before the halving, we could still come down, right? We had our bottom here, but we made another bottom here. In 2018 or 1920, we had a bottom here, but we still had another bottom here, right? It all happened before the halving. Now we had a bottom here. Where's that second one, right? Like, and you could say like, yeah, well, this time it's not coming, and maybe that's true, but for me, it's not confirmed until the halving happens, right? Because after the halving, it at least never happened anymore. But before the halving, it always happened. Still, this time, anytime, right? And this was pretty close to the halving. This was in March, while the halving was in like May. So yeah, we could still next year, March, go down, right? And this was because of COVID, whatever, like whatever the reason is, I don't care. It happened, so it could happen, right? That's my not bearish side of it, but cautious side of it. Like, hey, so far we always had like at least two bottoms, right? The first one was a real double bottom. The second one was a higher low, slightly though. But this time we did not even came close to making such a move yet. And I feel like, yeah, okay, if this time is going to be different, that could be. But is it going to be so different that we just have one bottom and then poof, go up? I don't know, and therefore it's for me still a little too soon to say like, okay, I'm now going crazy on altcoins. And believe me, you have never witnessed a full bull FOMO, as this channel didn't exist in a bull market yet. But there will be times that I say like, guys, fuck your stables, fuck your Bitcoin, altcoins to the fucking max, and let's go. Sorry for the cursing, but these times will be fun, and we're gonna make so much money then, right? But now I'm still like cautious, right? Because I do feel like, hey, let's say I can now invest $10,000 in the altcoin market, and I do it here now. What if we do like maybe 23k or so? Compared to the previous cycles, that would be fucking bullish, right? It sounds bearish, but compared to the other ones, it's really bullish. But what if we do that? Then I don't mind going down on my 10k in the short term, but I do mind putting in 10k over here, while I also could have allocated it over here and could have got a lot more altcoins with. So that's the thing. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. Hey, I don't mind. Like, I'm not missing out with that 10k because, you have to have your strategies. I'm in lunch pads, I'm in private investments, etc. I can always get rid of my 10k somewhere, right? That's not a problem. That's not something that I worry about. But I do worry about allocating at a certain point where I feel like, yeah, but I can get it cheaper than this. And again, not trying to time the exact bottom. I mean, like I said, could we have a correction all the way down to 25? Yes. Could it be just 30? Yes. But could it be 20? Yeah, it could all happen, right? I don't really care about that. But now at 36.5, I feel like, okay, well, I'm gonna wait a little bit on that money that on that money that I have. Especially if I look at the altcoin market, because we were talking about this range right here. And although this is a great accumulation area, right? And over the long term, it's all fine. I do feel like, yeah, it feels wrong for me to, if you have an accumulation phase, to buy at the resistance point of that phase, or rather buy it at the, at least slightly lower point of that. So my overall outlook, I do think we will get a decent correction over the shorter term. That's what I think. It all seems a little overheated right now. Bitcoin is sitting at some resistance right here, and every time we went up, correction, went up, correction, went up, correction. We went up, where's the correction, right? This is finally our first red week so far. Maybe this one ends green. It could happen. But we haven't seen that real correction yet. And I do feel like, yeah, that could still happen. It only makes sense to at least go down to 32, right? And even then, I'll already look like, hey, how's the altcoin market looking like? And maybe dollar cost a little bit into this, because it now finally confirmed. And I know there are always bitter people on the channel that said like, you have missed the bottom. But you should not try to time the bottom in the first place, genius. That won't work. And if you happen to do so, congratulations. That was very lucky, but it has nothing to do with skills or strategy. Timing the bottom won't work. Never. I'd rather miss out on a little bit of the bottom, but at least have a confirmed, change of trend. And what's now finally confirmed is that we did not only made a higher low, but we also made a higher high, right? So that's not a downtrend anymore. And I'm just not really a fan of buying something that is still in a downtrend, because in a downtrend, you never know how far something could go. It could go down 10%. It could also go down 90%, right? And that's too risky for me. And if I miss out on a little part from the bottom when it comes to that, I feel like, okay, yeah, so be it. But again, also like if you just have been buying Bitcoin, you will be fine, right? Because if you look at the altcoin market on its Bitcoin pair, hey, it is sitting quite, near the bottom still. So if you do have Bitcoin, you can still buy the bottom, right? Like you don't have to really stress about everything, about anything. Therefore, I'm always quite like calm in the crypto market. And I think the biggest piece of not financial advice I can give you is that, make sure you are prepared for everything, whether the market goes up or it goes down. I also like if the market all of a sudden moons and blasts and goes full bull, hey, I'm sitting fine. I'm fine, right? I'm happy. But if the market goes down like crazy, it crashes to shit. I'm also fine. I'm also fine, right? Mostly because I also have the faith in crypto that over the long term it will be fine as well. So, but therefore it's never wise to be all in or all out of the market. And I think a lot of people I made that mistake before, and I think a lot of people still do that. And at certain times, if you are all in the market and the market is bullish, yeah, hey, lucky you, right? You feel like a genius. But if it ever goes down, you're sweating. Yeah, that's not what you want, man. So yeah, that's just my outlook on the market right now. But for now, about the Binance news, really quick, by the way, I think it's quite bullish. What happens? Like BNB didn't really give a fuck right here. So I feel like yeah, if BNB doesn't care, why would the rest of the market care, right? Binance settled. CC stepped down. He took the shot for all of us, basically. And it's all good. Like that was the possible outcome. Binance going down. Well, CC stepped up. No more worries about that. So that's something that takes something very bearish away for me, at least. So that's what I quite like. So I want to wrap it up right here, man. If you like the video, subscribe to the channel, turn the bell notification on. There's a Patreon link down below where you can see a lot of information. So check it out, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.